Welcome to this fifth video in my coffee bar build series. In this video, I'm building the drawers. I have two full-size drawers on the top and two half-height drawers to hold my heavier kitchen appliances. Let's get started. I'm using Accuride undermount slides. I made up a Franken drawer just to test the dimensions because I haven't used these slides before and I wasn't entirely sure. Now the length of them, that's basically whatever your drawer slide is, mine are 16 inches, that's going to be the depth or the length of your drawer. Now for the width, according to the formula that they have, you take the inside opening and then you take away 3/4 of an inch from that, and that'll give you the outside drawer width. So I'm in this column here. I'm in this column here. I have 1/2 inch material for my drawer box, and so I take away 3/4 of an inch from the outside width of the drawers. Now, I did that and it wasn't quite right. The initial one I did was, this is the revised one, but the initial one I did was 3/4 of an inch, and I took the inside dimension using these two pieces of wood together. Then I subtracted off 3/4 of an inch, and I used that to come up with my drawer width. So the first one, I felt like the width was 1/8 of an inch too wide. I adjusted it by just by 1/8 of an inch. Where the pins are going to go in the back line up just right. The drawer sits on here well, and it goes in and out just like I want it to. I'm going to go ahead and actually build the drawers now based on the dimensions that I have. I'm using a 1/2 inch router bit to cut the dados for the drawer bottoms and the long strips of plywood I'm using for the sides and the backs of the drawers. I need to cut the rabbets in the front drawers, but I don't want to change my router setup. An easy way to do this is to use some scrap wood to extend the workpiece from the fence. And if you start with a small test cut in your scrap and flip it over, you get an exact reference for the cutter blade. So one added benefit of having, making these Franken drawer type things is you can just take them apart and then use them for measuring. So we need to cut a 1 3/8 inch notch out of the back. This would be the back right here. So we need to cut 1 3/8 inch out of here, and it has to be flush with the drawer bottom because this is basically so that this drawer can sit right on top of the rail. So to mount the clips to the front, these basically hold the rails in place. I'm just eyeballing where the center of the holes are and marking them. To drill the holes, I'm using a 5/64 drill bit, and it's supposed to be at a 10-degree angle. So I just pushed the drawer back against the pins, and so I can see where I marked the blue tape. I'm just going in reverse so that I don't tear the crap out of the back of the drawer.
Now that I've test fitted the drawer and made sure it sits squarely on the rails, I can go ahead and glue it all together. Now that the bottom drawers are done, I can start on the two top drawers. They're also made out of 1/2-inch plywood, and I'm going to use the same cope and stick router bits to make the face frames for the drawers.
So I'm done routing all of the long edges. I've got to switch over to the other router bit now, because I have a little sled that I have set up, and this just makes it easy to push things through. You have a back to it so that you don't get as much chip out. When you're cutting with these router bits, the face is down, and so before you actually run it through, if you take a look at the wood and pick the better looking face, put that down, then that'll be facing out. So once you think you've got it lined up, it is well worth your time to cut a scrap piece and make sure the fit is what you expect it to be before wasting a piece of your decent wood.
To line up the end cutter, take your time and dial in the blade so it lines up with the rebate cut by the complementary cutter.
After I've routed the drawer fronts with the cope and stick router bits, I'm basically just going to cut off that back end of the dado so that I can fit a piece of plywood in, essentially look like that. After I glued the panel in, I went ahead and routed the whole panel just by putting it on here and then running it through. This is the first one, and it didn't turn out too bad. It allows me to keep the profile and that matches the doors, so that's kind of what the goal was.
To reduce glue-up stress, I like to dry fit all the parts together and add screws, making sure that everything is square. After getting everything aligned, I can take it apart and add the glue. To secure the drawers to the undermount slides, I'm drilling 1/4-inch holes in the back face of the drawer. I'm using my thin rip guide to cut some poplar strips for edge banding. These will just be glued on the top of the drawers to cover up the plywood edges. To reduce the amount of sanding needed to flush up the edge banding, I'm using my block plane to remove the bulk of the poplar.
The thing I really like about these, everything comes in the box. So the clips for the front come with it, and the screws for the clips come with it. There's also these spacers for using 1/2-inch material for the drawer sides and fronts, which that's what I'm doing. The screws for the rails come with it, and they're pretty well packaged. The undermount drawer slides all work the same. There's a pin at the back that catches inside of a hole that you'll drill in the back of your drawer. And then you always have to cut like a gap in the back of your drawer so that it can fit on top of the rail. The front part, there's always going to be a clip, and the clip is going to attach to whatever ratcheting type mechanism that's part of the drawer slide. To attach the face and make sure that I get it in the space correctly, I'm going to go ahead and just use these cards. Now I'm just going to try and transfer the holes into the back to the actual drawer. Now I don't want to go all the way through because I don't have any way of protecting the back of the drawer at this point. At this point, I also want to start keeping track of which one of the face frames goes to which one of the drawers, because after I fit them, they won't be interchangeable. It just never works that way for me. I always drill the holes a little bit bigger so that I can so that when I attach the hardware, I still can move this. So I can go back now and put my cards in there again and just kind of get it just right, pull it out, and then tighten it down. And at that point, then I can put a couple more, I can put a screw in each corner.
Well, that wraps up this video on making the drawers. I hope you found something useful, and will stay tuned for the next video in the series. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.